Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another autocross car build. My vehicle today that has the very tough order of trying to even remotely get near the Lamborghini Miura is the 1970 Corvette ZR1. A car that may stand a chance, certainly, of going quickly. These kind of cars with what I'm hoping is going to get some massive tyres, quite a lot of power, relatively lightweight. Probably a good choice. When it comes to autocross, after all, the 60s Corvette still remains 5th place on our table. So it'll be interesting to see how this one will do. First thing, we're going to fit some lovely race tyres to the vehicle. I'm hoping 275s on the front, pretty good. I was hoping we were going to get like the 345s on the rear and 285s on the front. Not quite yeah, it's close enough though. 275s on the front with 345 rear tyres. That should be pretty damn good for our Corvette. Bigger tyres than we saw on the Lamborghini. Aero parts, we will be wanting these as well. This car is likely to not be as light as the Miura, however, we're probably going to get a bit more power in here, so it should even itself all out. Let's go with the handling parts next. They could swap the engine. Tend not to bother though with these. It's not going to need an engine swap to get it up to the top of A class. 2,784 pounds is pretty good on the weight front, although we are going to put a roll cage in, so it's going to go shoot back up to 2,900. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit on the heavier side. Hopefully it's going to make up for it with some power. To make up for it in acceleration terms, I think it might be a little too difficult to get the car through the corners as quickly as the Lamborghini did, or as, you know, some other cars might have done. It's going to be very tough comparing any of these cars to the Lamborghini anymore, because that thing is so stupendously fast. Are we going to... We might have to go for a supercharger on this car. Let's go put a diff on while I'm going past here, otherwise I forget to do it later. Components, what engine swaps are available? I'm assuming it'll be 5.7 litre V8, the Hemi, or the NASCAR engine. Yeah, kind of as expected, really. No, we'll keep it with its standard engine. What we are though going to do is supercharge it to 420 horsepower, 432 torque as well. So big torque figures from this car. Now, sometimes that upgraded supercharger will save some weight. Indeed, it does. So we shall go for that. Power figures are going to be pretty damn impressive on this car. I will say that much. Yeah, we're only halfway through A class and we're almost... this may be... it may be... What was the most torquey car we got? Did we get 600 out of something? I think the Holden's got a lot of torque in them. This is going to get a fair amount of... yeah, a fair amount of torque. We could... Okay, we're not quite going to go for full camshaft. We will try and see if I can work around with the rest of the parts that we have here, and eventually we will get that put on. We'll go for some valves as well. 520 horsepower at the moment. It is mega powerful, this car. That worked out actually pretty nicely. 564 horsepower, 543 torque. All in a car that weighs just 2,900 pounds. Do we go for flywheel or driveline? Driveline, we'll say. We'll go driveline with this one. We will have a look. Oh, gearbox. Sometimes. No, you see, we are still going to have the standard 4-speed. Now, that shouldn't be a problem. Whereas these, you see, these will very quickly jump the PI up in the car, which is why I kind of avoided using them. Now, the 4-speed, if I was doing normal racing, I probably would take out. However, for what I'm doing when it comes to the autocrossing, we're not worried about top speed, so the fact that this thing tops out at 144 miles an hour is irrelevant. We're not going to be going above 144, so we don't need it. Yeah, I think that will do. That will do with the Corvette. I'm slightly confident that this might be a relatively good car. Now, of course, to test out the Corvette, we have come to the Hockenheim circuit, where it'll get 3 runs through the Autocross course. Our current target is the time set by the Lamborghini Miura, the 2:03.3, which is an absurdly fast benchmark and way quicker than anything else has gone around here. So, as I've said, it is likely to be a tall order for the Corvette. Perhaps a more interesting task for this car. Will it be able to beat the 60s Corvette at 2:05.5? That's, yeah, perhaps a little bit more realistic goal for this car. I feel it's possible. It's all going to come down to whether we have the grip in this car. Will it be able to change direction well enough when it comes to this rather challenging Autocross course? There is lovely traction in the car. Immediately, though, the front end just doesn't quite get turned in the same way that the Lamborghini does. A little bit spoiled. I think I'm massively spoiled, in fact, when it comes to that Miura. Oh, there's a little bit of understeer again through there that we have to watch out for. How are the brakes like? Brakes are pretty solid. Certainly getting it slowed down. Right, run through these next corners. The back end, well enough behaved. Through there, again carrying good speed actually on the way out. Slow it down. Clip the barrel trying to take that nice tight line. We are rocketing through the gears up to 121 miles an hour with no problem, and actually braking a little bit early. Unsurprisingly, the Corvette mighty quick when it comes to the accelerating and these gear ratios. Oh, I was trying to be too clever. That was my bad. That was completely and utterly my stupid. Yeah, the gear ratio is working actually nicely for this car. Traction is not a problem whatsoever. How much speed can we take? Yeah, it's got good speed through that slower section. It does not quite, I think, have the overall front-end grip perhaps necessary to really challenge the Lamborghini, but the other cars, it could well do as we run through the tunnel neatly. Get it slowed down for the hairpin. I thought I was going to end up in the barrel there. I got my braking slightly wrong, and in trying to correct it, very nearly cocked everything up a little bit more, but we are through this next section. Oh, run out very wide through there. Okay, so a little scruffy at a first run, not as good as the first run I did with the Miura. However, actually pretty impressed with this car. The traction is very good on the vehicle. As we run towards the line, it was, I think, 3 time penalties from all of that. Yeah, okay, it's a good start, certainly, for the Corvette. Just got to, iron out the mistakes. Right, on to the second run for the Corvette, and it is very much driving in a way that I kind of expected the car to, quite similar to the 60s Corvette, in fact. It's got good acceleration, it's got good traction, handling is certainly not too bad at all, brakes aren't terrible either. It's got to watch out for the understeer, that's the big thing. The front end not quite getting turned in is about the only thing that's yeah, kind of an issue with this car. There is plenty of grip for this sort of stuff, although I've actually run it in too deep this time around. Yeah, typical, should I say. The car was good. I cocked it up completely. It was all out of position for that corner. However, we made it through without clipping anything. Oh, going to end up out of position through there. Yeah, even with all of the power and torque, I can boot it out of these gates, and it's absolutely okay. I mean, that's carrying about as much speed as the Lamborghini did through that section. Oh, I've turned in too late. You've got to be, yeah, you've got to turn in almost a little early for that high-speed section. With these cars that have this bit more high-speed understeer, you've got to turn in a fraction earlier, otherwise you end up drifting out wide. Damn it. Okay, yeah, it's ended up in those barrels. Was not quite ideal. What's the traction like from first gear? Yeah, pretty good even. There's a little bit more wheel spin. Oh, I'm not sure I clipped that one. That was a just a graze with the splitter there. The barrel did not even wobble in the rear view mirror. Damn it. pushing the car more and more, trying to find some time. And yeah, got to be careful. Often with these, when you put the Forza Aero, the front splitter on the car sticks out a little bit more than you're expecting. So yeah, quite easy to nick a barrel when you're trying to carry as much speed as you possibly can with the car. Alright, slow it down for this this final section and the last little bit towards the line. It's yeah, it's again, you know, it's not going to challenge the Renault 5 and the Miura when it comes to this final change of direction, but it's certainly not too bad at all when it comes to that last section. Right, 2 gates will clip that time around. We have got to do a bit better on this final run. Well, this is it, the final chance for the Corvette. I've got to keep it out of the barrels. That's always useful. If I can do that, well, the last run with a 10-second time penalty and a couple of dodgy corners, sort of combine all that together, and I think this can set a fairly reasonable time around here. Not quite Lamborghini beating, no. However, still fairly respectable. I'm not sure there's going to be very much that will challenge the Miura. As an overall car, I quite like this one. It is, yeah, it's a good vehicle to drive. It's an easy car to drive quickly. Probably wouldn't work as a general A-class car with it topping out at 144 miles an hour. It'd work on the shorter tracks, got great acceleration and good handling through these turns, but yeah, the gear ratios would, you'd have to go for a race gearbox, I suspect, if you wanted to use this anywhere that wasn't a very short track, because buzzing in the limiter is not going to be helpful, or I had to have a little lift. Thought I was understeer. I might have got away with it. It would have been incredibly close, but yeah, that just that creeping in of understeer with this vehicle is a little bit of a pain. But you've got to bear in mind that while yes, we have got a decent amount of power, this car is still a huge amount heavier than a lot of cars. You know, we're talking 800 pounds heavier than a lot of the little sports cars that have gone very quickly around here. So it does a mighty good job. Yeah, it's got race tyres, it's got huge race tyres, but it's still a lot of weight to be moving around. So it does a mighty fine job of being as agile as it is. It's just places like that, these high-speed corners, you just start feeling it. You've got to be that little bit slower through them, because yeah, we simply do not have the grip from the car as we run up towards the final couple of gates here. I'm liking it though. I think it's a very good overall vehicle. If we can get the front end, turned in here. A little bit of a wheel spin, a final dance towards this finish line. Don't overdrive the car. We can go flat out there though, no problem. Run towards the line for the Corvette. It's good. 205.4, very good. In fact, it does beat the 60s Corvette. There we go. That was yeah, I mean, that's kind of lap time. I was thinking this may possibly, ever so possibly, be able to achieve. I will be honest, there was one corner here. Again, I'm getting with these runs now, I'm getting really picky. I know the really slow speed gate, I was a fraction wide on the way out, probably lost a couple of miles an hour in momentum. But that was a good final run. It's a hell of a car, this Corvette. Yeah, the gear ratios work perfectly well for autocross. I think it's yeah, it's a good enough gearbox for this. As I said, if you ever wanted to use it as a longer track, you'd have to change it because you'd be buzzing the limiter. But for what we're doing here, works very nicely, and a good handling car. We just have that understeer. That means we can't carry the same speed that we can in some other vehicles. If we take the Lamborghini though out of consideration in this, that is some mighty fine going for the Corvette. It feels very quick. Admittedly, it wasn't, because of the understeer, I was perhaps not quite thinking we were going to go that fast in the end. I kind of hoped when I built it would, but yeah, that's not a bad lap time at all from the Corvette, because it puts the car into 4th place on the table. The classic cars are going back to trying to dominate this leaderboard. It beats the 911 GT3 and the 60 Corvette and the Volkswagen Beetle. You know, this is all very close here. If we exclude the Miura at the top, everywhere else is incredibly close. I mean, this is only half a second down on the Focus RS. Let's not forget that RS was a very, very good time as well. It's an incredible car. So, yeah, the 70s Corvette, good vehicle. Definitely a very, very good car when it comes to autocross. However, that is it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.